Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for Week 43. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here, and welcome back to this week's news report, where once again it is time to have a look back, see what happened in the Forex market for the past week on all our EAs. We're going to show you all of it here as usual. Last time we were on the news report in here, things were looking good, things were looking stable. We were very happy with what was actually ongoing. This particular week in here, well, it looks a bit like early Halloween at a bit of a horror show, where certainly some of the profits has disappeared from our EAs in here. We're going to show you exactly in detail how bad it is. We're also going to show you this particular new EA. It is part of a beta version, and it is actually also part of what I explained last week, a new video out from Alex, where you can actually help beta test. I'm going to go in a bit more detail later on in this particular video. And last but not least, also the copy link service. Plenty of links that you can actually use. We're going to show you the latest and greatest and what you should expect at the end of the month for a profit. So let's get into it. Let's see exactly how the week treated us. So when we start with the Wave Liberator for week 43, the top 5 EAs in here, the one actually on top, and there's a lot of Japanese currency pairs again in here for this week. Aussie Japanese, $22, 2.2%. That already now indicates to you that if that's the best, then it doesn't look very well. Well, you can see New Zealand Japanese, $17, 1.7%. And then the Aussie Swiss francs, also $16, 1.6%. All it gives for the top 5 for this portfolio for this week, $95, 1.9%, which is not bad, but these are the top 5 EAs. So definitely we are below where we wanted to be. As I mentioned in the beginning, we can also see that the curve up here has flattened out slightly. We are still in the printing of the money phase in here, so that is quite good. Trade wins are still high with 69%, now more than 80,000 pips taken. Trades per day clear around 12, and now we have almost history of 800 days, 797. So overall the EA looks good, but if we go and have a look, 148 is all that this portfolio actually made, and that is less than half of last week's 351. We had a higher one at 453 the week before. So definitely we see a regular drop in the profits going all the way back to around end of August. So obviously, hopefully we'll see an increase again in the coming weeks. For the RSI Liberator, it's the same thing in here. Great British Pounds, CAD, up at $23, 2.3%, and then it drops quickly enough. Another Great British Pounds in here. We have 3 of them and 2 Japanese. So they are definitely cashing in, $20, 2%. And then the bottom one is a combination of Great British Pounds, Japanese, $11, 1.1%, and a total of $86, 1.7%. is not really very good for the RSI Liberator either. It is, however, tracking quite well, also with the low floating profit and loss as it continues. Monthly returns is still around 8%. We are hoping it's going to slowly increase, obviously not this week, after we have made some adjustments again on a percentage-wise. The weekly returns is around 2%, trade wins 66.8, and more than 44,000 pips and 13 trades per day. Now we have a history of 566 days, so it's looking good, and obviously the graph is going in the right direction. But look, only $98 was actually cashed in for this particular week compared to 387 and 473. And again, don't forget this EA is going into overbought, oversold, and clearly none of it actually happened for this particular week. The Hedge EA, also that one, as you know, it goes very weak sometimes, and we see only 3 have actually managed to cash in anything for the week. Great British Pounds, Swiss francs, $17, 1.7%, Great British Pounds, AUD, $10 or 1%, and then AUD CAD, $6, 0.6% in here. All we did for that particular portfolio of 16 EAs, 3 of them cashed in at $33, 1.1%, so that is definitely low. We can see the graph in here still moving upwards, so that is good. Monthly returns from FX Blue still calculated around the 9%. with a 2% weekly returns. Trade wins is high for this particular EA with 71, and trades per day 10.8. Now we have a history of 280 days, so looking good moving forward. But $32 just for that particular week, that is a new all-time low. You can see you haven't even seen anything of the sort in here, going all the way back to April. However, the simple grid trader is also down, even though that one is normally doing better than the rest. For week 43, we have Swiss francs Japanese on top here with $42, 4.2%. So that is around 15-16% for an entire month. If that continues, then we have the Great British Pound Swiss francs. You can see a quick drop down to $26 or 2.6%. And then all the way at the bottom here, New Zealand CAD, $15, 1.5%. So also here, very disappointing numbers, $129, 2.6%. Not that we should actually be disappointed by 2.6%, but we are just used to a lot more. Now the graph still looks good, has some of these bolts on the side, and that has something again to do with it has a profits and then it closes all the trades. Sometimes it looks like it goes into minus, but that's because you cashed in the week before. And we're going to see exactly how that pans out for this particular week. Floating profit and loss has actually gone up a bit, but closed profits are still higher. So it is tracking. And then we have total returns 9.7, monthly returns 6.3. So what looks to be big numbers, as I showed you just before, still only 6% with 1.5% on a weekly basis. Trade wins 73% and more than 40,000 pips taken now. Trades per day is around 19 and a history we have now of 193 days. But look at this particular one here, only $8 has actually been cashing in. Now I have to tell you that a lot of the EAs actually did cash in. Other ones actually gave a bit of money away. You can see what actually also happened here back in August. And that is, again, the nature of this particular EA in here. When you have a couple of good weeks, it looks to be cashing in on the balance side, not necessarily on the equity side. And then when these two are actually meeting up for the targets that are set for the particular EAs, it will cash in. And sometimes it will actually go into minus instead. So that actually happened for a few of the EAs, dragging down the overall number. So that means that now a lot of the EAs are set back to zero. So next week should be a lot better again. I did mention before this particular video here that is a couple of weeks old, but it's still the latest video we did. And one of the things that you will find in this particular video, if you haven't seen it already, then that is that we have made some changes for all the EAs. So all the numbers that you see in here, before we used an expansion rate for the grid of 120%. Now that is going up to 140 or 40% from grid to grid in here. If you don't exactly know what it is I'm talking about, then I will make sure that the link is in the video description below. Now this has been applied to most of our links as it is already. First of all, we took the troubled ones. Later on, we took the ones that had sort of initial drawdown that was a bit on the high side. And then we are now applying it also to even the ones that are sort of running very nicely as it is already. But however, it's going to be applied to all of them. We believe we're just 1 or 2 weeks away from having this done on all. And that means that the profit slowly but surely should be going up. And at the same time, when we have runaways of basically 5 trades or more open in the grid, then we should also have a lower drawdown. That is what this particular video here is all about. But we can't do much about the Forex market slowing down this particular week in here. That doesn't really reflect the changes that we have made. But let's go and have a look at the Lucky Trader. Let's see how that is actually running. Also here we have a very nice top one with the Great British Pounds CAD at $40 and 4%. And then we can see in the top 5, now number 2 is drops all the way down to $13. That's the Euro Great British Pound. And then at the bottom here, also Euro Swiss francs, only $7, 0.7%. Overall, the top 5 portfolio in here only made $80, 1.6%. That is obviously not too bad if you do that every single week, but these are the top 5 EAs. We should have gotten a lot more. So the lucky trader again, it is working quite well, continues to cash in. Monthly returns around 9% on a $1,000 account, 2% on a weekly one. Trade win still high for this particular EA with 69, so that's good. Trades per day is around 12.5, and now we have almost a year for this particular EA, 358 days. And if we have a look at some of the results, last couple of weeks we made 207, 327, and now this week we have dropped very low to 83. We have seen something similar back in August. So we're hoping that now everything will be corrected and we'll get some extra cash in. Now I did mention that Expert4x did a video, but this is not this week. That was last week already here, where you could actually go and download it for free. You have to be a premium member in here with Expert4x, but it will give you a lot of opportunities to test EAs. This is actually a beta test for this particular EA in here. We had some issues initially setting it up, didn't want to test for us. So we had to move it to a different computer, and then everything seems to have been fine. We have now tested it on 4 different currency pairs. Some of the currency pairs you will actually notice here. So this is the USD Japanese. And again, it looks very nice. It's a big graph in here, and it should make it easier for the robots itself to basically figure out when to buy, when to sell. And what we can see in here is some very good and stable results so far on all the 4 different currency pairs that we have tested. Right now we have been testing on 1-hour time charts, so a bit more stable. This is also an EA that has a take profit stop loss. It only goes in, as you can see on the screen here. We have a sale off the chart in here that's going positive. We have another one starting here, also going positive, and then we have a buy up here going positive and another one in here. So there's plenty of ones, and it looks like also it has a high win rate. It's not 100% win rate, but we are looking in the area of around top 70 into the 80s. But this is still early days. I'm sure we can do better, but I do like the stability on the testing that we have seen so far. That shows that there's good potential for this particular EA going forward. We'll obviously show you a lot more when we have the details. Last but not least, you already have some very good signals. This is from the copy link service. And as usual, we have gone in, made sure to clean up the list. We don't want to see any floating profit and loss over -$300. The top one is -220, so that's not too bad on a $1,000 account. Total negative weeks in the last 8 weeks. We don't want to see anything over 300 either. And the top one in here is link 173C. It's -233. So that's not too bad. The rest, it's another one, triple digits, and the rest is 2. And then return on total drawdown. We basically left this one out this week because we can see there's a couple of low. Normally we put 100% in here, but then we wouldn't have many signals in here for the week for some reason. It has been a bit of a rough last couple of weeks. So that's why you don't see so many that are top-notch signals. But still they're cashing in 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and the top one up here is 186C coming in at 21%. So there's still space to make some good profits. So this is what we had in this week's news report. As you can see, a lot of the EAs, they are still working quite well, but they are not cashing in as they should be. We know the Forex market can be difficult from time to time. Especially it is a bit of a pain when you can see such a good progress that we've done in the past weeks, but all of a sudden the Forex market comes to a grinding halt. As you'll notice, all of the EAs are basically down. That means it's not one EA that are out of whack. It is simply the Forex market just doing its thing, making a spin for all the Forex traders. So hopefully next week we will see some improved profits again. But the only way you actually really gonna know about this is to make sure that you give us a thumbs up and then also subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be one of the first things that you'll see Monday morning when we have the numbers for next week. Until then, I hope to see you on one of my other videos. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way, you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.